You said something earlier that I wasn't aware of. Like, because I understand Harper, you have this baby monitoring device, but they're also offering, the nanny services, the nursing services.
Yes.
What led you to go from, hey, it's more than just a tangible product, or like I don't know the words you would say, but something that's you can hold,
you can touch
and
it.
now you have software and you have all these other aspects. Yeah. Is it just you being a brilliant businessman going, oh, there's a lot of ways that we can market this thing? Or was it
I'd love
also
to
stem
just
from a need?
say how brilliant I am, but no, I had the privilege of working with Hunter Hunt years ago, and he gave a commencement speech at SMU, and I remember him talking about one of the most important things that he learned, especially from his dad, who's an exceptional businessman as well, is to listen and to hear what other people think and are doing, because it will expose you to new ideas and certainly new opportunities. With Mizzen and Main, I mentioned earlier, I told almost no one about what I was doing because I was really scared someone was going to take my idea. And when it came to starting what ended up being named Harper, I talked to every person who would give me a minute of their time. I would stop moms who were at Starbucks and I would say, I could see they were pregnant, and I would make sure that they were. And then I would, say, what kind of baby monitor are you using? Why did you pick it? And just trying to absorb as much information as I could. In that process, I knew that I could build a great business with the baby monitor. And there's lots of business questions and cogs and profitability that you have to solve, but I knew that I could solve that. But with the idea for what has now become the remote night nanny, one of my friends, who ended up being an investor, sent me an article from one of his friends, a guy named Jonathan Swanson. He started Thumbtack and now has an executive assistant company in the Philippines called Athena. They've gained a lot of publicity for that as well. He was using executive assistants in the Philippines before everyone started doing it. And he basically has a life hacking approach, and he writes about his life hacks every year that he tries. And one of them was, I have this assistant in the Philippines who is working for me during my nighttime. It's her daytime. And I think it was his second, maybe third child. So he was very comfortable. And he said, I just gave her the login to my Wi-Fi camera that I had pointing at my son's bed. And I set her phone number up to be the only one that would wake me up in the middle of the night. And he said, unless my kid's crying for more than 10 minutes, don't wake me up. And that is not a scalable business. There's all sorts of security risks. There's all sorts of issues. But that idea, my friend sent it to me. And he said, this seems pretty interesting. Could you do this? Because with your hardware and what you're building, you could build something scalable that's never been possible before. Not calling tens of thousands of people at the same time, but with your hardware and appropriate back-end engineering. I said, I think we could. And so we ran our own very low fidelity trials of that over about 18 months to show that we could do it. And then when we had our own hardware, we started layering in our own hardware to prove that we could do it. And now we're recording this in early January of 25, we've worked with 50 or 60 families, and the results have been life-changing. And that, coming full circle back to like, where did this come from? In talking to so many people, the ideas to improve the product and the experience in the company have really grown. And part of our long-term vision has morphed into, we want to transform kind of sleep and wellness for the pediatric and postpartum years. So we also offer on-demand virtual lactation consultations with certified lactation consultants. Because from our own experience, my wife had an issue with breastfeeding, and it was Friday at 7:30 p.m. OB's office is closed, pediatrician's office is closed. It's not an emergency room visit. Man, if I could just open an app and press a button and get some help, I would really love to do that. And so we see an opportunity to become a central part of parents' lives and kids' lives over many, many years. And there are a lot of investors who don't like touching or investing in something that you can touch. But I think that's a very short-sighted view, because if you have something physical in people's lives that they interact with and touch every day and rely and depend on, they will give you an opportunity to expand that relationship. And so we have described this as product as a wedge. We have an unbelievable product in people's lives that makes their lives better every day. Some people won't want to access the remote night nanny, but they would really love to be able to talk to a pediatrician at 3 o'clock in the morning. And so we're not doing all of that yet, but it is a part of our long-term roadmap.
So Harper, even though right now is a baby monitoring device, if I'm reading between the lines, you want Harper to be basically all things, early development of children. Maybe not all things, but
yeah, there's certainly a lot of things that we would not do, but all the things that we can do by layering onto our existing infrastructure. And yes, it is expanding the lifetime value of the relationship that you have with your customers, but it's also expanding the lifetime value that you create for your customers. I just know there's so many things that we can end up helping parents and kids with over time. And I've seen it. There are other businesses tackling these types of problems, but we think in time we will be able to be that central hub that will make it easier to be a parent. And I can zoom way out here and say 3.6 million children born in the United States every year, and that number is declining. That is a huge problem. And part of the reason it's declining is it's expensive to have children. People are making more selfish choices. They don't want to be, whatever that, you can wax lyrical all day long. But if I can make it easier to be a parent, and one of the moms that we worked with in one of our early studies, she's a second-time mom, she's a nurse, they have lots of help, but through working with Harper, in 5 nights, we were able to help get her kid, not totally sleeping through the night, but enormous progress in even just 5 nights. She said, I thought I had it all figured out, but as it turns out, I just needed a little bit of help. And she didn't want to hire somebody to come into the house and do that whole thing, but just this very light touch help. She said, you've given me hope to have a 3rd child. Her husband was like, hold on, we just had the 2nd. But man, if we can make it easier to have children and we can help children sleep better, that is society-wide impact.